Hey everybody, it's Taylor with Boydston Grove, and today we're going to show you how to make 4 different gift ideas for that special someone in your life. Let's get into it. I'm going to be making 2 different types of gifts, 2 styles of each, for a total of 4 projects.
Math, 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 math.
For most of these projects, I'm going to be using some butcher block cutoffs that we have left over from other projects, but you can just as easily use any 2x material that you have laying around for any one of these projects. I cut a piece of the butcher block to a 7.5 by 7.5 inch square. Then I set the table saw blade to a 1/4 inch high and cut a tic-tac-toe pattern across the surface. I set the table saw to a 45-degree angle and put a large chamfer on all the sides. After finding the center of each square, I used a 1.5 inch Forstner bit to drill out each spot, going about as deep as the head of the bit. I used Odie's oil for the finish and then put some little felt feet on the bottom. Project 2 was the same idea, just a different shape. I glued up a couple pieces of scrap walnut to get the thickness that I wanted. Once it was dry, I stuck on a template that I created on Photoshop. I used the miter saw to remove a lot of the excess and then finished cutting it out on the bandsaw. I used my bench sander to get right up on the line and clean it up. Once the holes were drilled, I put a large roundover on the top and bottom. While I was at it, I made one out of the butcher block as well. I applied Odie's oil to the walnut one and some stain to the butcher block one. Now it's time to step up our projects a bit.
He's taken it to a whole other level.
I worked on project 3 and 4 together since most of the first steps would be the same for both. For these 2 gift boxes that I'm making, I glued up some butcher block to thicken it up. The larger one of the 2 is going to be heart-shaped, so I used the same template that I used on the tea light holder. The smaller one of the 2 is going to be a cylinder shape. Since I don't have a lathe, I cut it out on the bandsaw and refined the shape on the bench sander. Once I was happy with the shape, I cut about 1/2 inch off of one side. This will be used as the lid to the little box. I used a 2-inch Forstner bit to drill out the inside of the box, making the hole off-center to leave room for the pivot point. Now I planned to just leave it at that, but after looking at it, I thought I would try to remove more material, and then this happened.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Should have just left it alone, but nothing a little glue and painter's tape can't fix. The heart-shaped box went much smoother. I used the same 2-inch Forstner bit to hog out most of the inside and finished it off with the router. Then I sanded the inside with a sanding bit on my drill. I put a large roundover on the bottoms and lids of both boxes. Once the little box was dry, I used my Dremel and a sanding bit to clean it up. The lid for this little box will pivot on a dowel, so I drilled out a spot for it in the lid and in the box. The dowel gets permanently fixed to the lid and then just slides into the hole in the box. To keep the lid of the heart-shaped box in place, I resawed a piece of the butcher block down to a 1/4 inch thick, and after making a pattern of the box, I cut the piece out and attached it to the lid of the box. I finished both of the little boxes with some stain and added some self-adhesive feet to the bottom of the heart-shaped box. Alright, our 4 different gift projects are finished. Let me just start off by saying I know the camera makes some of these boxes look a little different than they actually look in real life. The finishes on these are actually really nice. They look a little splotchy and modeled in the camera, but this is actually a really fine finish. It has a nice sheen to it, and that gray shows up really nice with the wood grain. The only one that I'm not super happy about is the little ring box, or actually my wife informed me that these are now used for salt, so little salt container. I did not intend for it to get this dark, so I'm really unhappy with the finish. If I did this again, I would just do natural wood because... Alright, let's stop right here. I couldn't help myself. I went ahead and knocked out another one because I really wanted you to be able to see what it looked like in natural wood. Now this still needs a little bit of sanding and some extra finish, but at least now we can see the difference between the original one we did in the dark stain and the one that is left natural wood. For me, I really prefer this one, but when you make yours, it's really a personal preference. One thing I wanted to point out about these little boxes that I made, including the heart-shaped box, is that you could easily make these a bandsaw box. Just cut off the bottom like I did the top and use the bandsaw to cut out the inside and then glue the bottom back on. The reason I chose to drill them out is number one, I was kind of under a time frame and wanted to finish it within a day. And number two, I figured if they're going to be used for a gift box, I could line the inside with felt like I did the heart-shaped box, and so that it really wouldn't matter if the bottom wasn't completely smooth. Out of all the projects, my definite favorite is the heart-shaped candle holder made out of walnut. As much as I like using scraps and not letting anything go to waste, when it comes to little projects like this that are going to be gifts, it is nice to use a rich, beautiful piece of wood that someone will really appreciate. I think I paid about 10 bucks for a little piece of walnut. I used half of it for this project, so I have plenty left over for some other small project, and in the end, it was definitely worth it. All in all, these projects were super simple and super fast. I was able to knock out all of them in one day, and they make perfect gifts for this upcoming Valentine's Day or Mother's Day. We work on a new project every week, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And let me know in the comments below which one of these projects was your favorite. Thank you very much for watching, be safe, and have a great day.